started then. But thanks for coming out to see the orientation for Kaggle-CLEF. This is a group that I'm running for. Well, this particular flavor of meeting for the fall is this thing that will be run for the second time. But the goal of this fall is to introduce everyone to these two words, Kaggle and Clay. And then it's also going to be a piece where we're going to recruit for the spring semester for some of the research competition in Clay 2025. So a little bit about me. Hello. Which is my slide? This is the actual slides. So I'm a senior software engineer at Planet Labs. I've been working in industry for 8 years. My first job was at Mozilla as a data engineer, and then I joined Planet a couple of years ago. I'm also, I did my undergrad at UCLA, but right now I'm a grad student in the OMSCS program. So that's the Online Masters in Computer Science. I'm pretty sure everyone online, pretty sure everyone online is familiar with the OMSCS program. I think the majority of people here are, okay. I have to speak louder because the mic is here. Everyone online is, I think, recruited from OMSCS. A few from OMSA. So this is my 6th semester. I did a semester last in the spring at Georgia Tech Europe, which was a lot of fun. And I would recommend those online to seek out that program. And this is also my 4th year leading a research-focused group here in the Data Science at Georgia Tech Club. So I'm excited to kind of see so many people interested in this thing. So I started in the spring of 2022. Here I was interested in this competition called BirdClay. BirdClay is a Kaggle competition, and I saw it in 2021. I was like, oh, this is interesting. But I never managed to get it over the finish line. So I thought it would be a good idea to recruit some people from Georgia Tech because I just got into the program. And so it was 5 of us. It was me, an online student, one in-person master's student, and then another online master's students from the analytics program. And there are 2 undergrads who did this with me. And we managed to publish this paper, Motif Mining and Unsupervised Representation Learning for BirdClay 2022. This won Best Working Notes, the Best Working Notes competition in the Kaggle competition, like nowhere near the top of the leaderboard, but we'd written this paper and we won $2,500 worth of GCP credits. So this was super exciting for me. I ran it again. We wrote this paper called Transfer Learning with Semi-Supervised Dataset Annotation for Bird Call Classification. Here there was 3 online OMSCS students and 1 undergrad. And again, we won Best Working Notes and $2,500 in cash. Hello. So this last year, I decided to open it up to more students and to get people into the conference. I went to the conference in Thessaloniki, Greece, and I thought that was a really interesting experience. Like I got to see the kind of scope of the conference, and going there and talking to some people. Like one guy had written like 5 papers, and it just never occurred to me that you could do that. So then like I recruited a bunch of people, and we ended up writing 12 papers. We got 11 papers accepted across 22 authors. 17 of these authors were master's students. The other 5 were undergrads. So I think this is really, really successful. And so I want to bring this to as many people as possible. So just some stats from the RSVP. We had about 215 people sign up for this session. This session is being recorded, so people who couldn't make it will be able to watch it afterwards. But you can see the majority of people who are interested are from the graduate program, the online graduate program. And this is because I had recruited an EdSTEM and Slack. The folks in the Data Science Club have also helped make flyers and whatnot. So I'm pretty excited to see all the interest in this group. So today I'm going to talk about why join our group, what is these two things, Kaggle and CLEF. I'll talk a little bit about logistics. So what can you expect out of this semester? What do you need to do in order to help continue next semester? And then we'll hear from two of our members from this last semester, from Adrian and from Murilo online. And then we'll have time for questions. So why join our group? So I think our group has been really successful in one, being student run, and two, publishing. I think publishing a paper is something that a lot of people here who are joining us are interested in. So we've had a good mix of online students and on-campus students, both masters and undergraduates. Again, 22 authors, over 11 papers. We have 6 students who took this for course credit. So there's the 8903, 8902, 8901. There's a special projects that you can do with a professor. We also had 3 students who took this as part of their deep learning course and did it as their project deliverable. So this is something that you can kind of align yourself with. We've also won about $7,500 in prizes. So we've had a lot of success over the last few years. So we have a record of doing things. I think this is a good group for people who are interested in publishing their first paper. I think out of those 22 authors, 20 of them, probably this was their first experience in doing any sort of research. So I am very open to the idea of bringing people in and just showing them the steps that they need to take in order to get something accepted into a conference like CLEF. This is the conference that we'll be focusing on, but this is applicable to other conferences that are in the same shape. Also, it's an opportunity to travel. Last year, I traveled to Thessaloniki, Greece. This year, 4 of us are traveling to Grenoble, France. We got a little bit of funding from SGA, 350 a person. It's a good opportunity to see an academic conference, to be there 4 days in a row, having coffee every 3 hours, watching people present about their research. It's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of really interesting people. So yeah, it's an opportunity to travel if you're if you get published. And I think we have some pretty good achievable goals here. So in this semester, we had 215 people RSVP. I'm hoping to get participation from 50 or so people who will be coming every week, engaging with some of the topics that we go with. And for the spring, I think I'm going to cap the team size to about, the overall group to 50 people. Last year we had 32. We also had 11 teams. I'm thinking roughly 15. And we'll try to publish even more papers than last time. So 15 is the goal. And there might be reasons why you shouldn't join our group, right? The biggest thing is that time commitment is a thing that people tend to underestimate. So you can kind of think about the time commitment here in the fall as kind of like a seminar. So 1 unit, it's not really worth a ton, but you're probably spending 1 to 3 hours a week coming to meetings and then engaging with the material. In the fall, you can kind of think of it as a 3-unit course. So between 50 to 150 hours across the semester, probably more if you're going to be leading it, if you want to be a first author. The second is that we kind of do assume that you have some proficiency with Python, with data manipulation, with analysis. So you should be comfortable writing you should be comfortable writing something that's very technical. You should be able to go download data and ask questions of it using something like Pandas or SciPy or Spark. If you don't think, so 2 things that would make you a good candidate. One is that you've taken a course like machine learning, deep learning, Bayesian statistics, any sort of course that requires you to do this data manipulation and analysis. The second is that you've taken the data science at Georgia Tech bootcamp. I think that also prepares you for the skills that you would need for something like this. The third thing that would maybe not make you a great fit for this group is that you're unable to attend regular meetings. For this semester, it's a little tricky to get sessions that are amenable to the Asia time zone. We had a couple of students who were in Asia, Australia. So like the meetings there were designed so that the smaller teams would find meeting times that were that fit everyone's schedule. Here, that's probably not possible, but yeah, we're doing our best. I think you can, even if you're in a time zone where you can't make these meetings regularly, if you're going to be part of the research competition team, you do have to come weekly. You do have to like make sure that you're following our pace. And yeah, even if you don't make it into the competition team in the spring, both Kaggle and CLEF are open to everyone. So you can go to Kaggle, you can go and you can compete. You can go and write a paper for CLEF and you can submit it. And you don't have to be associated with our group. But if you're gonna like make that step, you might as well join us. I think it's more fun that way. So yeah, that's the first part. That's kind of the introduction to what we'll be talking about today. Hopefully it gives you a sense of like what we're doing. I want to talk really quickly about the competitive data science and research competitions. So first is Kaggle. So Kaggle is a platform that is now owned by Google, and their whole purpose is to host data science competitions. So they will partner, or organizations will come to Kaggle, will bring their data set, and they'll basically crowdsource solutions to build good models for information retrieval or for classification or time series forecasting. The appealing thing about these competitions is that they offer cash prizes. Like you go to a competition and they're $200,000, like come compete in our thing, and it's very appealing. They do a really good job at having a platform that allows you to write your own analysis, to share that with the community, and to see what other people are doing. And they also have the leaderboard, which allows you to figure out where you are with your solution in a particular competition. So Kaggle is a website that I think you should check out. If you've never seen it before, just go to Kaggle and like look at the list of competitions. I think it's really interesting. I found BirdCLEF this way. So BirdCLEF is a competition about trying to figure out in hundreds of hours of collected soundscape data, where are there birds in the audio and what species are there? And this is a really challenging problem. And I thought it was really interesting because this signals processing problem, it deals with conservation of bird species. They work with the School of Ornithology and like local organizations in the areas that they do year to year. And this is where I found out about LifeCLEF, about CLEF, and about this conference. And this is where we've won most of our money. So from Kaggle, we go into CLEF, and CLEF is this conference. It's the conference and labs of the Evaluation Forum. It's a European-based information retrieval conference. They're part of SIG-IR, of ACM. There's a couple other conferences. There's one in the US that's sponsored by NIST. I forget the name of it. There's another conference in, I think, like Japan, another conference in India. And so there's like a family of information retrieval conferences that are very focused on evaluation and evaluation of like functional systems. So here are the labs that they provide. So the conference is an umbrella for these labs. Each of the labs may be composed of several academic institutions or organizations that are working with them. And they all kind of form thematic tasks. So each of these labs will offer 3 to 5 tasks. So I'll just run down the list. BioAsk is for asking questions from biomedical literature. Check that is basically figuring out whether a piece of text is fake or not. Eloquent is about the generative AI and figuring out how to evaluate these systems. eRisk is like the psychology meets information retrieval system. So like the DSM-4 for social media. Exist is sexism identification in social networks. IDPP is disease progression modeling for ALS and MS. Image-CLEF is all about images, multimodal images. So for example, they had a competition that was focused around identifying tumors in medical images of colons, given some information from doctor's notes. Joker is about humor in language models. LifePlay is all about species identification. There's bird calls, remote sensing, pictures, whatnot. LongEval is taking a search engine and seeing how it changes over time. Pan is all about telemetry, so figuring out, for example, did Shakespeare write all his like plays, but on more modern material. Q-CLEF is about quantum computing on information retrieval tasks. So they have like a quantum computer that they've time shared, and they have 2 or 3 tasks that are pretty interesting. Simple text is for simplification of academic texts. Touche is argumentative systems. So think of it like a debate club. You have an argument, and then you want to find all the images, or you want to find something that's like for and against. And they had this new meta lab called MonsterCLEF. Basically, half of these can be solved using some big multimodal language model, and so they wanted to see how easy it would be to build a solution for all of these. So that's both Kaggle and CLEF. Just a very brief overview. We'll talk more about these things over the semester, and so now I'd like to talk about the logistics and organization of this semester. So first, I have the meeting schedule. We've had in the recruitment document, there's a shorter, brief version of this. But basically, August is our recruitment period. September, we'll be talking about Kaggle. In October, we'll be talking about CLEF. And in November, we'll do a little bit of like cloud computing basics and kind of wrap up the semester, recruit teams for next year. So in the Kaggle part of things, the 2 things that we'll do is, one is everyone will go out and they'll look for a Kaggle competition they find interesting. And then we'll use their platform to write an exploratory data analysis. So if you've never written an exploratory data analysis, this is a good introduction for you to write your first one. It's basically taking some data set and like asking some questions and building up some, telling a story through statistics. Then we'll vote on an internal competition for the club. So last year we had a competition that was identify a species of dog. But basically we'll set it up like the bird play competition. There'll be a leaderboard winner and a working notes winner, and the winners of the competition will get $50 gift cards. In October, we'll be talking about CLEF. So the 4 of us who are going to France for the conference will come back. We'll report on what we found interesting about the conference. We'll do a paper review. So everyone will go out, look at all the labs, kind of figure out which one they're interested in, do a paper review of the text, and then we'll come up with a proposed solution to a task. It doesn't have to be good, but I kind of expect if you're going to be part of the research group next semester, you can kind of think of a solution to a problem. In November, this will be kind of the last section. We'll talk about using Google Cloud Platform. So I have 500 licenses to their Skill Boost platform. So we'll build a small course, I guess. It won't be longer than 1 or 2 hours of what is a VM? How do you get into a VM? What is cloud storage? Just very basic, like how do you use a computer in the cloud? And then we'll have the end of the Kaggle the internal Kaggle competition. They'll do presentations. and then we'll do the team formation. So that's quite a bit. Oop, using two computers. For the actual meeting structure, this is like our week to week. We're gonna have a weekly 1 hour Zoom discussion. There are gonna be 2 sessions planned so far. One is at 1 p.m. Eastern, and the second is at 8 p.m. Eastern, the time slot right now. These coincide with Central Europe evening and Pacific evening. I would have loved to have like an Asia friendly time zone, but I don't think we had too many members that would be able to do that. So these are the 2 time slots that we have. I expect everyone who's going to be like with us for the semester to join one of the 2, or at least follow them closely. We'll have recordings for each of these meetings, and you'll be able to come into Slack and engage with the process. We have a small team of discussion facilitators. So I think we have 5 so far. We have Murilo, Ritesh, David, Alex will be kind of helping out in October, and then maybe Max. So there's a small group of people who will be helping figure out who's going to speak next week, making sure that the meetings move smoothly and whatnot. We're going to have signups for speaking, since it's hard to gauge how many people will actually stick with us through the semester. But given that there's 220 like RSVPs, I'm going to guess somewhere between like 50 to 100 people. It could be smaller than that. That would be great. But we'll have signups because there's so many people and there's only so many time slots to speak. Meetings will be recorded, unlisted. But there's basically going to be a period where I won't be able to attend any of the meetings, and I want to be able to watch what people are saying, just to get a sense of who's doing what. And yeah, participation in meetings will weigh heavily into where you're placed or if you're placed. So yeah, meetings are kind of the bread and butter of this. Kind of expect you to go. And so the big thing that comes out of those meetings are deliverables. They're concrete artifacts that you will be able to take away from these meetings. This is a thing that's for us to kind of keep track of everyone, but these are also things that you can take away. So this includes the presentations that you might give once or twice through the semester. There might be writing or code, like the exploratory data analysis. These are all like pieces of things that will help further your learning objectives. I assume like you're here because you want to learn and you want to like do things. And it's useful for us, like for me, to figure out like where you might fit in the broader placement of teams. So I want to talk about 2 deliverables. The first deliverable is the internal Kaggle competition, and the second is like a solution proposal. So the internal Kaggle competition is going to be hosted on Kaggle. It's going to be run for roughly 10 weeks. We're going to choose the competition as a group, and then the winning teams will win 50 a person. So hopefully that provides a little bit of incentive to like participate. And yeah, I mentioned the dog species identification as the thing that we did last year. So I think that went really well. The second thing I want to talk about is the solution proposal for a task that you find interesting. So GeoLifeClay was one of the tasks that I helped run. I think I was a co-author on 6 papers, but there were really 2 that I was like leading. One was BirdClay, one was GeoLifeClay, and then there are a couple of the other LifeClay ones that I was heavily involved with, but I wrote a lot less code. So GeoLifeClay is a competition that's figuring out, given satellite imagery, where different plant species are going to be located. So you can kind of figure out based on imagery and other raster data like elevation, temperature, what types of plants are going to exist. So the first like sketch at a solution was actually a sketch. I kind of drew this as a kind of a joking thing, but you can actually come out with a good idea of what this is all about. So we have a training data set. That training data set composes of satellite imagery, the raster data. We use this model called Tile-DEVEC, which is a unsupervised representation learning algorithm that involves triplets of data. And you can embed high dimensional data into a lower dimensional space while preserving properties that are useful for classification or regression. We embed all those data points, and then we use some sort of other model. Here I have like a re-ranker, but we actually ended up using just a really simple like classification, multi-label classification thing to get us probabilities for what species might exist. So you like a solution to a problem can actually look like very graphical. And I actually wrote this out into a more concrete way. So here I got fancy, and there were a bunch of topics that I was really interested in. So we have the unsupervised representation learning, Tile-DEVEC. There's this thing called Koopman analysis, which is taking the linearized dynamics of a system. So we had 20 years of satellite imagery. Like, could we find a way to estimate how the state changes from one to another? Learning to rank was that ordinal regression that re-ranker. Gaussian mixture models are useful for actually building out density estimation. But anyways, I wrote down a solution and proposed it as like a 2-pager. And with this, I went up to a professor and asked, hey, would you be willing to supervise 8903 section for me? And by doing that, I was able to get credit for working on this project. So it is useful to come and actually engage with the material and to build these artifacts because they're useful. So those are the 2 deliverables that I kind of wanted to just give a flavor on. Here are some of the points that I wanted to make for team formation in the next semester. So this is going to happen around November, December, near the end of the semester. There's going to be 1 team per lab or task. So I'm trying not to have like overlap between the teams in our group. We're going to have roughly 50 people and 15 teams. No team is going to be more than 5 people. We're looking for people who are really interested in publishing research and can use Python, Git, written a data analysis before. And I'm also going to be on the lookout for people who I think would make a good team lead. And what that means is that this is quite possibly the first author of a paper, but the person who's going to help like actually make the submission go over the finish line. This person is kind of responsible for the 1, 2, 3, 4 other people who are on their team, and to make sure that everyone is ends up being an author at the end. And so another thing that would be really nice is that if you have alignment with course credit, so like you come up with a solution proposal and a professor and they give you an A903, like, yeah, come join us. Like that's an incentive for you to finish, and that makes a really strong case for you to be with us. If you're in a project heavy course, like I think there's like a big data for health and a deep learning course. There's certainly others that would align with the work that we're doing here. The alignment really helps with providing incentives for you to finish and to go over the finish line. And that's like the most important thing here. Like I want to make sure that we're all set up for success. We had 32 people who joined us. 22 people made it to be authors, and I'd like to kind of have a very good retention rate in terms of people who are successful and like achieve the thing that we're trying to do. Things to remember: time commitment, not insignificant. 50 to 150 hours kind of aligns with 1 to 3 units worth of work. We probably had a handful of people who dropped out because of life, but also a couple of people who just kind of overestimated or underestimated the amount of work this would be. And then another thing with our group is that our compute costs will be covered by the club / me. Last year we spent $2,500, and that was funded out of pocket from last year's competition. So we have some base from this year's competition. Plus, we're looking for some funding from SGA or the GTSF, or and the club. So team formation. I saw that you had a question, but we'll keep it for then, I think. So yeah, that's everything that I have. And I wanted to hand things over to Murilo to talk about his experience in the group. Give me a second, Murilo. I need to make sure that the audio here works. Speaker. Go for it.
Cool. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Give me another second.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Why is the audio not coming out of the speakers here? Okay, that's fine. Go for it, Murilo.
Okay, cool. Hi, everybody. Really nice seeing everybody. 77 people. That's a really good turnout. I guess we have a little bit of time. I would love to actually, I know that happens sometimes on Zoom meetings. I'd love to see where people are joining from. So if you could drop in the chat where you're joining from, your city or state, that would be kind of cool to see. Dubai, Florida, Seattle. Oh, that's really cool. Pennsylvania, Australia, Detroit, Salt Lake City. Oh, South Carolina, New York. Wow, everywhere. That's really cool. Really nice to see everybody, and thanks for joining. You can go to the next slide, Anthony. So yeah, so my name is Murilo. I am originally from Brazil, but I've been living in the US for 11 years. And I'm a senior AI software engineer at Intel. I actually just joined the company like 2 weeks ago. But I'm also at OMSCS. This is my 6th semester. I don't come from a computer science background. I can say I'm kind of self-taught in a way, but I'm very happy to be here and just being involved. And I'm very interested about deep learning and biodiversity research, and which fits really well with what we're doing here in the club. And I'm from São Paulo, Brazil, and I was a swimmer. I swam for 22 years. That's how I moved to the US. I swam in college. So yeah, so how did I get involved? So last year at the first OMSS conference, I went to the conference and I met Anthony, and Anthony was a speaker, and he was talking about his initiative with Kaggle-CLEF. And you can see Anthony presenting, and then we ended up sitting next to each other and doing the paper tower exercise that we did. And I got really, really interested about what he was saying about the club, and really the amount of efforts that he was doing to do research and to just do this thing. So I just really wanted to get involved, and I kind of did. I joined the club late, but we ended up publishing our paper last year, the board play paper, which ended up also winning the best working note for the conference. Yeah, so that was really my first introduction to research, even though I joined the team very late. I think it was only 3 weeks before the deadline of the competition. I was able to put quite a lot of work, and some of my plots that I did ended up in the paper, and I ended up contributing. I mean, not as much as some other people on the team, but it was enough to make it, and I was really happy about it. And then since then, I just kind of kept talking with Anthony, and yeah, just kept being a part of the club. So basically, last year he won this seminar thing that we're doing here again in the fall. He wanted to do that again. Yeah, you can go to the next slide, Anthony. So before I talk about that, I'm just going to be talking a little bit about Kaggle-CLEF into a segue. So this year, when Anthony decided to expand the club, there were many different labs that you can tackle, and one of them is called Plan-CLEF, which is part of Life-CLEF. So you can think of CLEF as being, well, the name suggests, is a conference of labs and evaluation forum. There's many different labs, and one of the labs is Life-CLEF, and under Life-CLEF, there's many different challenges. There's Board-CLEF, Plan-CLEF, GeoLife-CLEF, Snake-CLEF. I'm not sure if I'm missing one. But yeah, so there's many different challenges that you can do, and Plan-CLEF is all about identifying plant species in images. So as you can see, there's just an example of a vegetation plots, and it's a multi-label problem. So there's many different species of plants in that image, and the challenge is to identify all the species of plants that are in the image. And this year, the conference is going to be in Grenoble, France. And I'm very happy that I get to be attending the conference and maybe presenting. I'm not sure yet. I don't know when we get to hear that. We're only 2 weeks away from the conference, and they didn't let us know. We don't know if we're going to be, at least I don't know if I'm going to be presenting. Anthony definitely will be presenting. But I'm super happy that I'm going to get to go to the conference and actually see people that participate in the challenge and talk to the people. And very rewarding experience, I think, because we did put a lot of efforts into our research and the paper. So yeah, next slide. So a little bit more about Plan-CLEF, just so you guys know. Maybe you get interested in joining the team next year. So Plan-CLEF is all about identifying plant species in images. It is a multi-label classification problem trying to identify many different species of plants in one image. The training set is from the southwestern Europe region. At least it was last year. Each year they make a different data set from a different region, basically. And it contained almost 8,000 species of plants in 1.4 million images and 280 gigabytes of data. It's quite a lot. So basically the main challenges was that the training images were single label, but we were being evaluated on a multi-label challenge, and bridging the gap between the single label to multi-label was really difficult. And we did come up with a kind of clever, maybe, way about doing so. And also a huge challenge was just the size of the data set. 280 gigabytes of data, quite large, very difficult to put that into memory. You cannot train a model on that much data, at least like with limited resources that we have. So yeah, so it was very challenging. So about the solution, basically how we went about doing so, there's a modeling pipeline and an inference pipeline. The modeling pipeline, we basically use this model, Dino V2. It's a vision transformer model that was created by Meta. And we use the model to extract embeddings from the images. And embeddings are just a high dimensional representation, like a vector representation of what the image means. And basically it extracts the characteristics of the image and encompasses that into high dimensional vectors. So as you can see, the CLS token, that's just the classification token. But there's also the DCT coefficient that we extracted from the model, and we train a classifier. And there's also the inference pipeline where we divided, or we cut a single label into a tile of a grid of tiles. As you can see, we have the 3x3 tile grid, and then we also feed those images into the model, and then we do inference on each one of those tiles. But also we can also do inference on the entire image. So we ended up doing both. And we kind of take the argmax, or a top K probability of the output of the classifier, and then we make our predictions. And that's a very high level overview of our solution. But that's kind of what we did. We ended up getting third place in the competition. There were not a lot of people participating, but yeah, it felt nice to at least be on the scoreboard. So yeah, next one. So yeah, so last year I presented this at not last year, this year. It felt like such a long time ago. It was in May. I presented this work at the OMSCS conference, if you attended. And it was really cool. It was my first time presenting. And definitely would not be able to do that if I hadn't met Anthony. And it was just very rewarding also to be presenting the work there that we were doing. Is this the last slide that I have? Oh no, oh yeah, the project showcase. So the project ended up winning the Spring 2024 Project Showcase Awards, the Student Choice Awards. So basically the students chose Plan-CLE as their favorite project for the spring semester for, I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe it's for the entire Georgia Tech, including on-campus students, I believe. I'm not super sure on that, but I think it is. So yeah, it was really cool. And definitely, you know, again, it showcases that we are super serious about that stuff. And it was really cool participating. And the next one, I also did the special problem. So I took Plan-CLE and I was able to actually get credit, like a 3-credit course for the research that we're doing. So basically my entire spring semester was just working on my full-time job and just doing research for Plan-CLE. And I put a lot of hours into the research. I think ended up being more than 400, but it's because I was kind of leading that effort. And it was, like Anthony said, for me at least, it was comparable to a 3-credit class throughout the semester of the commitment that I did, but I was also the lead of the project, so I definitely put a lot of effort into that. So that was kind of my involvement in the club. I met Anthony last year, and then I just kept being involved, and I'm very happy to be here and connect with you guys. And hopefully this is gonna be as meaningful to you as it has been to me. And then also just to finalize, this is kind of something like what you put in is what you get out of it. So the more that you're gonna put in, probably the more rewarding the experience is gonna be. At least that's how it's been to me. So with that, I think I can pass on to Adrian. And yeah, very nice meeting everybody.
Thank you, Murilo. Then we have Adrian.
And I should speak to this microphone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm a undergrad here, a third-year CS student. And a little bit about me. Before I joined this group, I had done some deep learning projects, and I also took some ML-related courses at GT. Through those, I gained some experience with NumPy, PyTorch, all those libraries, data science libraries, and they all ended up being super useful in my experience with this group. And some fun facts about me: I'm in the GT Symphony Orchestra. I play violin there, and I also like taking photos. Yep, so I was a part of the Bird-CLE group. A little bit about Bird-CLE: it was a multi-label classification problem to identify bird species from bird call audio. So this year, I think it was from Western India. So this is for biodiversity efforts. So if we put some autonomous recording devices in like a forest, for example, that can tell us how and where to focus these conservation efforts. So there were 182 species, and we had to predict every 5 seconds like what birds were in that recording. And there were 4,400 minutes of test data. This was one of the biggest challenge because we had 2 hours of CPU-only inference, and 2 hours of inference on so many minutes of test data was a big challenge. There was also species imbalance. So sometimes I think there were species with like 5 samples in the training data set, which was really challenging. So this is an overview of our pipeline. We basically worked with 3 pre-trained models. Our final solution was taking 2 pre-trained models and basically combining them for our final solution. I worked, at first I worked mainly on encodec, which was one of our approaches. Yeah, so I'll talk a bit more about encodec. But in my experience, I joined the group around when the team formation happened in November, December. And in January, I started joining the regular BirdClay meeting. So that was the weekly team-specific meeting, where I learned a lot about birds and the existing techniques. And we did some planning and lots of paper reading. And then after that, we basically broke up our tasks. And I worked a little bit on encodec, which was one of the models we used. This was basically if you take a audio recording, and this is not specific to birds, but encodec compresses it instead of like MP3 and lots of different audio formats. Encodec uses a deep learning model to compress this into some tiny representation. And we use this as a sort of novel approach to our bird problem. And we also, during this time, we also did some exploratory data analysis, doing some plots and just visualizing, seeing how the data will look like. And then in May and June, this was near the end of the deadline, where we built our transfer learning pipeline and did our final Kaggle submission and wrote our paper. And I think the June or July deadline was a bit later than like some of the other labs. I remember seeing, I think we were like a month later, but yeah, it's around the May, June deadline. So my takeaways from this whole past semester of joining this team, I thought it was super fun and impactful project. Normally, I do projects that are just I find interesting, but this was not only interesting, but also very impactful to the biodiversity efforts. It was really interesting seeing how machine learning can be applied to ecology and bird recognition. And I learned so much throughout this project. Although I had some experience with data science libraries, I never really touched like Google Cloud, for example, Luigi, Spark, PyTorch Lightning. That was all really super fun to learn. And yeah, I learned a lot of new deep learning techniques and applications. And it's really interesting seeing how we can scale like up. Normally, when we're working on small projects, it's like we just build something quickly in Jupyter Notebook, do some testing, just normal PyTorch stuff. But putting this on Google Cloud, data science in practice, that was really interesting to learn. I think it's super important, and probably in the future in my career, I think I'll see more of that. And most importantly, I published my first paper. I know Anthony had experience in previous years, but that was super fun. Just this whole experience of research. It was my first research experience, and yeah, I really enjoy it, and I hope more undergrads can join these teams this year.
Cool. Thank you very much, Adrian. So this is the last slide in our presentation. The next steps for everyone, if you decide to continue with us in the fall semester, one is to join the Data Science at Georgia Tech Slack, and in particular, go into the Kaggle-CLEF channel. This is probably the main mode of communication. Also join the mailing list for calendar invites. I may use the mailing list as a second source of, hey, this is what the concrete schedule is going forward. But these are going to be the two main channels for you to get any more information. So I will put together an RSVP for choosing a session to go to. Again, it's 1 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, and they're both going to happen on Mondays. If there's more demand, it's possible that we could spin up a third section, but we'll see what it's like going forward first. So this is where the invitations will be set out. And finally, if you're interested in more material, we have a bunch of recordings from last year. So there's 3 recordings, I think, from the fall interest session. One, me talking about bird clay, talking about the conference in Thessaloniki, Greece. And then I think there was one on the winter presentations for the competition, as well as our general meetings for the spring. And so I'd like to thank everyone for attending. And I'll open up things for questions. So thanks.
Hey, Anthony, there was a good question about if people can join the the Data Science Club if they're not from Georgia Tech, but they still pay the fee.
Are they Georgia Tech alum?
I think from the question, probably not.
That is a good question. I don't have an answer for you right now. But if you join the data science Slack, which I think is open to everyone, you can ask one of the officers who are in charge of membership. I'm gonna leave that like if you want to join our group, you should be part of the club, and if the club will sort out whether you're eligible or not.
Cool. The other question was if they need to sign up for the Data Science Club before attending the next week's meeting. I said no, they can attend the meeting if they're still deciding to join. But if they consider joining the team, then we encourage to pay the fee.
Yeah, I second that.
Cool.
We had a question in the room.
First of all, the 50 to 150 hour commitment is per semester.
Yeah, it's and it's only going to be for the spring semester, since the cycle for the conference kind of happens where they release all the competition lab tasks in December/January. That's open for 3 or 4 months, 5 months, until May or June. And then you write your paper, it gets submitted, it goes through peer review, and then they have the conference in September. So the commitment for the 50 to 150 hours is only going to be for the spring semester. And it's
Recruitment basically happens now, and the actual work is during the spring semester.
yes.
Okay.
So this group is in the fall is mostly a kind of a introduction to all of these things. I think if you are, go through the paper review, come up with a solution, like these are ways for us to get to know you, and for you to be on the radar for like whether you get placed on a team or not.
And what's the criteria? What's the application process? As an undergrad, I'm a freshman.
Yeah.
So can I join? What's the criteria?
Yeah, so the criteria are, in previous years, I've had a notebook that had basic questions about statistics, about data visualization, about basic information retrieval, machine learning concepts. But you should feel comfortable using random Python libraries. You should feel comfortable like looking at data and asking questions about it. You should be comfortable plotting things. For this, like if you are able to demonstrate, you write an exploratory data analysis, you participate in the internal Kaggle competition club, like club competition. You write a paper, you read a paper, and you're able to clearly articulate the main points of that paper. You can come up with a solution. I think each of those things like demonstrates a thing for somebody who has been part of the group before to like determine whether you're a good fit. I'd say having a few of those like concrete deliverables, like in our hands, would be like baseline for if you don't otherwise pass like an interview. Like I've interviewed everyone who was in the group last year, either was part of this interest group, or I personally interviewed them for 30 minutes.
One last thing. If we can join a specific lab that we're interested in.
Yeah.
And
That's ideally you find a lab that you're interested in and you like express interest.
you express interest by going through the application process, which is basically researching all of this.
Yes. Yeah, so the process is not super strict, I guess. Like if me or several other people in this group kind of see that you attend regularly, like I'll probably have like some forms where you can submit, like this is the EDA that I did. This is like the paper review that I did. And like I can go reference those things. Or alternatively, like you have a resume that demonstrates that you have some familiarity with like PyTorch or TensorFlow or Spark or Pandas or whatever. Those are kind of the things that I'm looking for, as well as like some confidence that you'll be able to commit for a semester.
So the first step would basically be joining.
Yeah, that's like come to the meetings every week. And I think that they'll be.
All right, so today I'm going to talk about the project that the
This.
Kaggle-CLEF 20.
Who's speaking? Okay, any other questions? There are questions online. There's probably questions back here. Murilo, are there any questions that are kind of missed?
I'm kind of trying to answer them as best as I can. Mostly about just how to join and things like that. And about membership prices and yep.
Can you join the club to learn and not for the competition? Yes, you can. How can you access the recorded meetings? I'll post a link in the data science Slack. You'll see that later. Oh, the recorded meetings in the slides. Yeah. We start the boot camp next. Boot camp is a good idea if you don't have previous experience. Is there a deadline to join or a reasonable date which you should join to participate? I think if you can join before the first like 2 or 3 meetings, you'll probably be in good shape. But ideally you'll start next week. Can I join Monday 1 p.m. meeting in person? I'm a Georgia Tech undergrad student. We are not having meetings in person. Meetings will be happening on Zoom. Spring, fall, different in terms of structure and direction. I think Murilo answered that pretty well. The follow-up is if you need to be part of the club in the fall, if you want to be in the spring, the answer is no, you don't. I think half of the people who joined in the spring were not part of the interest group. So if you have other obligations in the fall, it's probably okay to come back sometime in November or December. But I will probably be prioritizing people who are kind of actively engaged. There's like a significantly larger group of people who are interested this year. So who knows? I've already paid the SGT club and dues. Next steps are just coming and joining our meetings. All of these look answered. Any other questions? Any other questions? Feel free to speak up if you're online.
Will next week's meeting Zoom link be posted on like a Slack channel?
Yes, the meeting that you're in now is the meeting link.
Oh, the current Zoom link?
Yeah, it is. The current Zoom link is the static Zoom link for this semester's meetings.
Okay, thanks. And it is Monday, like Monday 1 p.m. in Eastern time.
Yes, 1 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern. Those are the two times.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
You mentioned this. Oh, sorry, you go.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Sorry. You mentioned the if we're in 8903, it's advantages join you. Is there a different is it because we get to work together or we get to turn it into one of the like paper writing directions, or what was that?
So there are two ways to get an 8903, at least from the OMSCS side. One is that a professor will put out an 8903 and say, hey, here's a project that you can work on with me. Come apply for it. The other route that you can go is that you can propose your own topic and you can go to a professor and say, hey, I have this project. Can you like advise this? Can you be an advisor or supervisor and give me a grade at the end of the semester? So if you do end up, proposing your own topic and going to a professor and end up just doing research as your course load as an online master's student, that is like the thing that we provide as a group is structure and some compute resources. In addition, like I have a pretty good idea about kind of what things are feasible to be done in a semester, as well as the general structure of solutions and paper writing and all the kind of logistical scheduling things that need to be done in order to publish in Clay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I was curious about the team formation and how that works. It will be my first time participating, so I don't really know if I have the experience to really lead a team, but I'm assuming there will be teams where others are leading and we could opt to join one of them. Is that correct? And could you just elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, so there's the 15 labs in the Clay conference. Each of them are very different. They're very different domains. So there is a very loose team formation process where people express their interest in a lab. There'll be some people who propose solutions, and those solutions look really good. And then I ask them whether they want to like lead a team. So that rough process kind of happened last year. I don't know if it's going to be more formal this year or not, but yeah, there will be teams. They are you'll know whether you're interested or not just based on the topic, because the topics are very diverse, right? And some are more NLP focused, some are more computer vision focused. I don't know if does that answer some of your.
It does. It does. And if I can ask one more follow-up question, of the 11 papers published last year, were any of them in the Quantum-CLEF? I mean, it's a domain I'm interested in, but
yeah, so
I'm just curious if there were others.
I was also super interested in the Quantum-CLEF one. I met the PhD student who was actually put the whole thing together, and he gave a presentation last year at the conference. I tried recruiting for it. I don't necessarily have a whole ton of skill there, and so we ended up not having Quantum-CLEF as one of the teams. But Alex, who is one of the facilitators this semester, is very interested in putting together a Quantum-CLEF team if it's still running this year. He's taking the quantum computing class, so he might be a person to reach out to.
Oh, I'm TA in the class. I will reach out to him.
That's crazy.
If you're interested in that lab we're interested in, how would you approach it, or how do you?
May I have a question? Like, I was kind of confused about like how we can.
Sorry. We had a question in the room.
Oh, okay.
I'll repeat the question. It's if you're interested, or yeah, if you're interested in a very specific lab, and you know that's a lab that you want to do, how do you approach expressing your interest in being part of that team? So I would sit on it for a little bit. And I think when we get closer to October, where we're actually diving into the specific labs, like that would be it'd be a good idea to kind of, you could start now. Just look at the lab online. There's all the working notes that are released from it. Understand like the data, the domain. You could even possibly go and look at the data set from last year and start like playing with it. But yeah, just doing the literature review now, doing the paper review, like coming up with like a direction that you think is interesting. You don't have to present anything, but it would be nice if you were trying to form a team, right? So just make yourself known, I guess. There's the Slack, there's the weekly meetings, and so yeah, there is no formal process. Like we're all kind of like coming together as like a club to kind of figure out those logistics. I'm trying to provide as much structure as possible. Like these weekly meetings, kind of like a proposed set of things to talk about, but that doesn't mean that you can go out, like it doesn't preclude you from going out and just doing your own stuff. And I think that's actually, if you're really interested in like doing something, like you should just go out and like try to go as far as you can. And I'll be around. There's other people in this group who have been like through the ringer now, who will be able to kind of like tell you like how to go forward. Sure.
With regards to, again, what was mentioned about professors and masters and professor who has an interest, is it possible as an undergrad to approach a specific professor and have them sponsor a project, or is that something that doesn't happen?
So the question is it possible as an undergraduate to reach out to a professor to sponsor a project? I don't know about the logistics of that. I assume there's an equivalent for undergraduates for the special problems. And so I would encourage you to go Google special problems for undergraduates, or maybe is there anyone here, like Adrian?
Yeah, I think there's a 4903, that's the equivalent for, yeah, special problems. It's like you reach out to a professor. I don't think they can sponsor necessarily, because yeah, at least it seems like the people from the club just use like the like club funds for Google Cloud credits, but they can advise you in that project.
And it's a course, 4903?
Yes, I believe that's a number, 3 credit course.
Yeah. So yeah, 4903. Yeah. So 4903 is the equivalent of the 8903, I guess. I would still, if you're going to approach a professor, I would recommend having like a plan, like this is the research topic, this is the problem, this is my proposed solution. Here's a timeline of like the deliverables that I'm thinking of, or like here are the people that I'm working with. Like people in our club, like there's lots of master students who've like have kind of good ideas of how to write proposals, like whether it be from work, whether it be from like actually going through the process of like going through an A903. So yeah, like it's also hard to cold call like a professor and like say like, hey, like please advise me. So like you'll need to do your own social engineering kind of thing there. Any other questions, either from the room or online? We're like 10 minutes, so I'll like 1 or 2 more questions.
Yeah, so like for the like a weekly meeting, like if we attended, like how could we perform like better to be like to get into a team in the spring? Like should we like get some presentation like a 5 minute slots, like as you talked before, like schedule a 5 minute slots to do some like a kind of like a personal presentation about stuff, So is that a way to stand out to be selected into like the team on during spring?
Yes, so there are going to be 5-minute slots for presentations. I recommend that you try to do like 1 or 2. I also there's also going to be time for questions. So like that's another way that you can engage with what other people are doing. Like ask good questions, choose things that you find are interesting. And I think if you engage with the process of what this like discussion / seminar style like semester is going to be like, you'll figure out kind of what your own interests are. But yeah, like do the things, have your name known by people in the club, and it'll help make a better case for you being placed on a team. Yeah, it's lots of the there aren't like strict criteria. This is not it's not a class. I'm trying to bring as much structure as possible. But there is going to be a lot of maybe somebody who is not, maybe I'll miss people. Or maybe people who will come onto the team who like drop out immediately. It's like hard to know who fits where. It's a really tough problem. But yeah, just engage with the stuff and make yourself known.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, just to confirm, like it's like every week at the same time now, like 8 p.m. right? 8 p.m. and 1 p.m.
Yeah,
Eastern time.
every week unless we have a break.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so wait, so no next like so next week there won't be a meeting like because it's Labor Day.
I think we'll still have a meeting.
Wait. So yes or no? Like will there be...
I forgot about Labor Day, but I think we're still gonna have that first meeting.
Okay. Wait, first meeting? Like isn't this one the first meeting?
This counts as a meeting, I guess. This is more of like a orientation. So I assume there's a lot of people who are in here who are interested, but maybe haven't committed. So next week will kind of be the first week.
Okay, yeah. So like next week will be kind of kick off like introducing the project and all the plans like schedules like that.
Yeah, it'll be like, hey, my name is Anthony, and I'm a 6th semester student in OMSCS. And this is the thing I'm interested in. Going around the room and introducing each other. Maybe.
Going to be recorded, so you can stand. You can watch it.
Yeah, those sessions will also be recorded. For only the students in our group to be able to watch. So if you can't attend, then you can always watch the recording. But I don't think next week will be too I don't think there's gonna be a whole ton next week aside from like introducing like Kaggle.
Yeah, got it.
Cool. Any last questions before I call this?
Oh wait, so next week like Labor Day we'll have a meeting.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Going once, going twice. All right. Reminder, join the data science Slack. Feel free to drop in any messages there. I'm fairly responsive online, either in the data science Slack, in the OMSCS Slack. I'm also in the Georgia Tech like associated Slack. So feel free to reach out. And thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Anthony. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.